Walk down any street in the biggest cities of the US, Europe or Asia, and you'll see people talking into, swiping their fingers across, or just watching the small screens of their smartphones. Until recently, Apple's iPhone was the most desirable device by far, but now there are a wealth of alternatives, most notably from Samsung, whose Galaxy range is seen as a credible alternative. With retail prices for the most popular phones at well over $500, the smartphone has always been an expensive luxury for the well-off. But if the mood at last week's Mobile World Congress in Barcelona is to be believed, the smartphone market is about to undergo some big changes. There were scores of new phones launched last week in Barcelona, but one of the most notable trends was a shift towards the lower end of the market, the democratization of the smartphone sector. Nokia, which has traditionally dominated sales in the lower end, first launched its higher-end phone, the 800, last year, but last week introduced its 610 model, which aims at the lower end again. The problem for Nokia is it won't be alone. Chinese manufacturers led by Huawei and ZTE have already taken much of the low-end market away from European rivals. Now it seems the smartphone market is heading in a similar direction. Robin Kwong, the FT's Taipei correspondent, says the process of reshaping the industry is already underway.
What is interesting about the China market is that many of the smartphones sold there are not the iPhones, Samsungs, and HTCs that Western audiences will be very familiar with, but rather they are domestic brands that sell smartphones for less than 1,000 renminbi, which is roughly $150 US. And obviously, that segment, the sort of low to mid-end segment of the smartphone market, actually accounts for 80% of the total market.
Well-off customers who can afford a premium 3G phone are unlikely to take a step back in technology. But for the less well-off, and in particular new smartphone customers in the developing world, cheap but powerful internet-enabled phones are likely to be very popular.
आज की डेट में तो सेल फोन सब कुछ हो गया हमारे लिए, जस्ट लाइक मतलब टाइम पास समझ लो, आफ्टर देन कनेक्टेड दोस्तों से सोशल साइट्स वगैरह वो हो गई। जब मोबाइल में इतने सारे फंक्शंस है, सब कुछ एप्लीकेशंस है कि इजी एंड फास्ट एंड ड्यूरेबल, जहाँ पे भी आप जाते हो आपके हाथ में सब चीज़ है, तो आपको कहाँ पीसी की ज़रूरत है। बेसिकली मेरे ख्याल से मेरे ग्रुप में मोर देन 20 से ज़्यादा जो फ्रेंड सर्कल इन द मार्केट, सब आईफोन, सब है। Original.
But there's a catch. While China has built a strong and robust 3G network, much of the rest of the developing world is at least a couple of years away from rolling out fast mobile internet networks, especially outside the bigger cities.
I think most people would agree that what is called the 3G telecom system is needed for the best performance of these smartphones. And quite frankly, some of the markets do not have or is not widely available yet. So as this infrastructure is built in, I think you will see some even further growth in the smartphone market globally.
But the biggest problem in the market is one that faces all manufacturers: how to differentiate yourself. How can the market sustain so many players when technology is so widely available? For the time being at least, profits look to remain where they are today, at the premium end. Daniel Thomas, Financial Times.